agriculture, let me ask our respected colleague, Eric Opoku. He is a very intelligent parliamentarian. I don't doubt his understanding of the agro sector. But talk is cheap. It is not about his talking. Today I want to ask my respected colleague, Honorable Eric Opoku, the minister responsible for agriculture, to hold a press conference and tell Ghanaians the real policies that have been introduced to help promote agriculture. There's none. In the fishery sector, the least said about them, the better. So really, this government talks so much in opposition, but in government, there is nothing they've done in the agro and the fisheries sectors to promote growth, and we see it in that field. I'm sure later Dr. I.Y. Opoku would expatiate on this with the numbers for you. Now they promised 24-hour economy. And the 24-hour economy, they said 1 job, 3 shifts. So each job will carry 3 people. And they said, oh, even if you want to do farming, there will be a system where you can farm at night. They said, oh, you can sell your wachi in the night. That's what they told us. But today, after voting for them, what do we see? Even Ghanaian youth who gained employment as far back as 2017 were all sacked. When the minority introduced a motion to question the Chief of Staff's letter directing these mass dismissals, the first strategy that the majority deployed was to hold a preliminary objection, which the first deputy speaker came with an already prepared written ruling even before he heard the argument. And when we filed a motion for review of this repugnant ruling, Mr. Speaker found a way of denying us a voice. It is taking 8 months, an important matter that affects the livelihood of Ghanaians. And I want Ghanaian youth to hear this. Matters that would involve the restoration of their jobs. Parliament refused to give the minority a voice. They use procedure. Each time we raise it, they told us, oh, the speaker says he wants to preside himself, the speaker will preside himself. Till date, we've not been able to conclude on the debate on that motion. And Parliament is going to reconvene again on the 3rd of February 2026. We want to assure the many youths who have been rendered unemployed as a result of that letter that we will not relent. We will fight for them until they gain their employment back. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we submit further that this government has failed the Ghanaian people in the most basic duty of a modern state, to move its citizens safely and decently from one part of their own country to another. In 2026, at major terminals from Circle to Kaneshie and Medina, hundreds of Ghanaians are stranded for hours because the national fleet has collapsed from over 1,000 public buses to barely more than 100 in operation. While more than 400 Metro Mass buses rot in garages or have even been sold off as scrap, commuters are headed into overcrowded trotros or priced out by artificial scarcity, not because Ghana lacks engineers or planners, but because this administration cannot even maintain a functional public transport system and has reduced policy to press conferences while people sleep in queues. This same culture of negligence has bled into our foreign policy, where careless performative diplomacy has now helped land Ghana on a shameful list of countries whose citizens can no longer obtain immigrant visas to the United States. The US government has announced an indefinite pause on immigrant visa processing for 75 countries, including Ghana, cutting off a critical legal pathway for family reunion and skilled migration at precisely the moment our economy depends heavily on remittances from hard-working Ghanaians abroad. The United States is our single largest remittance corridor, sending between $1.5 to $2.5 billion a year into Ghanaian households. Yet through a mixture of short-sighted posture and weak consular statecraft, this government has allowed our citizens to be lumped into a penalty list that will slowly suffocate that lifeline and diminish Ghana's contribution to solving global problems. A serious government will treat our transportation system and immigrant visas as instruments of national survival, not as afterthoughts. This one has managed to trap its own people twice, stranded at home in endless, dehumanizing transport queues, and stranded behind a new wall of visa restrictions. Its diplomacy was too clumsy, too reactive, and too self-satisfied to prevent. The minority, therefore, is calling for immediate, concrete action in the transport sector, for an emergency program to restore the state bus fleet and saturate the worst-hit corridors with reliable services so that no Ghanaian is left stranded for hours simply trying to get to work or back home. On the diplomatic front, the minority has demanded the dismissal of the foreign minister and ambassador to the United States and urged the president to deploy a high-level special envoy to Washington and constitute a crisis task force to secure Ghana's prompt removal from the US immigrant visa-free list and protect the billions in remittance on which millions of Ghanaian households depend. Ladies and gentlemen, public trust is further undermined by a visible pattern of selective justice. Former MPP officials have been pursued with vigor, while figures associated with the NDC facing similar questions have not attracted the same urgency. At the same time, serious concerns around financial transparency at the highest level of our monetary system have gone largely unaddressed. When the law is enforced according to political color rather than evidence, we are no longer dealing with the rule of law. We are watching a performance of the rule of law, a scripted play in which the audience knows the ending before the curtain rises, but the show continues to preserve appearances. The MPP minority has resisted rushed and opaque lawmaking, including attempts to force through certain held financing measures without required parliamentary quorum. We have repeatedly insisted on transparency. These actions are not partisan games. They are necessary steps to narrow the dangerous gap between what our Constitution says and how power is actually exercised. The New Patriotic Party, the mighty minority, has learned its lessons from defeat. We concede that we couldn't have been perfect in government. We know that there were some mistakes that were made. We take collective responsibility. Our responsibility now is deeper, and we assure Ghanaians that we in Parliament will continue to lead the charge, even as we finish our flag bearership race on 31st of January 2026. Our main task thereafter would be to win back the trust and mandate of the Ghanaian people by rallying behind our elected new leader, work hand in hand with him to go through his vision and ensure that we put forward a responsible opposition and provide alternatives. We've done it before. When the NPP was in opposition in the 90s, and we finally had power in the 2000s, the people of Ghana know what the Kufuor administration did. We introduced the health insurance policy, a policy that the NDC never dreamed of, a policy that the NDC doubted, a policy that the NDC in parliament boycotted its passage. Yet today, that is what has saved millions of Ghanaians. Again, when we were in opposition between 2009 and 2016, and we promised free SHS, the NDC told us we could not implement. The people of Ghana are aware that when the grace of God gave us opportunity to govern, we saw the implementation of the free SHS. However imperfect it was, the policy was implemented. Many Ghanaian youth who ordinarily could not have had an opportunity to have secondary education had the opportunity of being educated. What is left after this government had taken office is to take it to a higher level, use the opportunity created to build human resource capacity to create jobs. They've shut down the 1D, 1F policy. In its place, no alternative. So Ghanaian businesses are left in a state of uncertainty. There is no incentive for the private sector. So we ask, what is the trade minister doing? What is the trade minister doing? We can in the least describe her as a redundant minister with no policy to promote economic growth. Now let us turn to the lithium. We want to deal with the lithium agreement. When the NDC was in opposition, they questioned the lithium agreement that was before Parliament. But upon assuming office, the agreement was reintroduced in a very worse state. When the minority exerted pressure on the minister and government, they came through the back door to now withdraw the paper, the agreement, claiming that they are now going through further consultation. The question is, at the time Honorable Ama Kofi Boah was defending this new agreement on the House floor, didn't he know that he needed to do further consultation? At the time that he challenged the sincerity of the minority, up until civil society joined the call, was he being fair to the people of Ghana? Was he being transparent? We reiterate again the call on the Minister of Land and Natural Resources to resign because he failed the people of Ghana. The minority interrogated the reduction in royalties from 10 to 5%. We carried the questions further regarding the lapses in the transparency of the whole agreement. He defended it, and now he came back to withdraw it. That alone amounts to a serious mischief. That alone is a policy failure that the minister cannot get away with. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now turn attention to a disturbing matter on the House floor, which we promise the people of Ghana that when Parliament reconvenes on the 3rd of February, we are no more going to allow the majority to have its way. The majority has turned Parliament into a parliament of fast track and no scrutiny. A rubber stamp parliament where everything comes under certificate of urgency. They should be ready to beat us in the chamber. We will resist with all the energy in us. No more certificate of agency. They had their way in the passage of the Gold Board law, the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, the Dumso Levy. They also introduced its certificate of agency, and many more other laws that they pass it through certificate of agency without any scrutiny. We hereby sound a caution to the NDC majority. If they are not ready to read, we are ready to read. We all became aware that their 189 only exists in numbers. When it comes to substance, they can't match the length of the trousers of the minority. They only talk numbers. But we all know that even in the passage of laws, when it comes to quality debate, we do proper research and we argue on facts supported with data. What they come into the chamber to do is their propaganda. But come 2026, this 2026, they will never have their way. We will hold their feet to the fire and ensure that each minister account for his stewardship. We know that 2026 budget is a chop-chop budget. We know that 2026 budget is a chop-chop budget. We are going to open our eye and scrutinize every contract, every document that goes to PPA. The minority will follow it and bring motions. And we hereby also plead with Mr. Speaker that he is doing Ghana's work and is doing the work for the growth of democracy. We are aware Mr. Speaker is an NDC leading member. But where he sits, he is to protect both of us. We have been frustrated by numerous dismissal of our motions. Questions are delayed. Questions are declined. Issues that must be allowed to be debated on the House floor, we see subtle culture of silence being introduced, and procedural roadblocks are used to deny us opportunity. But we want to pray, Mr. Speaker, most humbly, that he should prioritize substance over form. That is the rule of equity. He should prioritize prudence over procedure and allow debate to flow. We will not sit idly by and allow the majority to use their numbers to deny us our duty in ensuring that there is proper oversight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by promising that we will not renege on our fundamental duties to the Constitution. We will fight for the people of Ghana. And in doing so, we will not be obstructive. We will scrutinize, hold government to account, ensure that just as we did in 2025, where we brought up issues to the limelight, we're going to repeat same. And this time around, we are going to do so even as we are done with all our internal elections, that we now have a leader, and we are going to do so with a firm determination and assurance that come 2028, the NPP deserves to come back into office. This pressure may not be done and done well without at least talking about this third term agenda. We are aware that Mr. President himself says he's not interested in third term agenda. But we take this opportunity to also mention to Mr. President that, Mr. President, we are aware that many of your party members want to put the agenda. Please tell them one more time. Maybe when you said so in Singapore, they didn't hear you. Mr. President, you haven't spoken about your non-interest in third term in Ghana. Please, tell your people that you are not interested at all. They shouldn't lead you into temptation. And by the way, it is not possible. Also, we have heard that certain people have filed certain processes at the court. We also have this to tell my Lord Bafuboni. We know that this job was handed to you on a silver platter. We know that you have your masters to please. But my Lord Bafuboni, in the end, when history is being written, it will be your name. And to our judges at the Supreme Court, Ghanaians are watching how you determine the matters that are coming before you. Will question your own integrity. When you came for vetting, you made certain commitment to the people of Ghana. Ghanaians heard you. So again, the mighty minority is watching you. We will not be silenced by threat of contempt. If by criticizing the judiciary, they will march us into Nsawam, we are ready to become prisoners of conscience. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Arise, Ghana youth, for your country. The nation demands your devotion. Let us all unite to uphold them and make them great and strong. We are all involved. We are all involved. We are all involved in building a motherland. We are all involved. We are all involved. We are all involved in building a motherland. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please resume your seat.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough for the wonderful submission by the leader of the mighty minority, the leader of the 87th Infantry Battalion. We will now open up the conversation to our friends from the media. If there is any question, we are ready to take. My colleague, Honorable Jerry Ahmed Shaif, will be doing the justice. If you have any concern, you raise up your hand. Here he is going to play the role of a speaker. If you catch his eye, if you catch the eye of the Member of Parliament for Wager, then we'll be able to do justice to that. So now the floor is open for our friends from the media. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kweku Sechidanso from GhanaInpeace.com. I just want to find out from the minority if there are plans outside of internal context to bring colleagues together, because we see what is going on, since you want to stand firm and hold government accountable. Thank you.
Next person.
Please, any other? You announce your media.
Leader, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Joseph Ghana Page, and host of the constituency. Leader, you mentioned that Ghanaians agree with you the quality of debate advanced on the floor of Parliament by the minority. Emphatically, you call for the dismissal of the Foreign Affairs Minister. Are there other ministers you want to see go, or is it just a dislike? Is it just a dislike for the Foreign Affairs Minister? And is it not a situation where the job at hand is bigger than the labourers on the floor, with regards to the number of ministers John Dramani Mahama has appointed and discussed them? You also mentioned that the majority has 189. Have you already considered Adawaso East to the majority?
Any other, please? Okay.
No,
Okay,
three. No,
please.
that's second. There's a third one.
Okay, graphic. No, Joy, then I come to graphic.
My name is James Aleji with Joy News. On the transport crisis in Accra and the other cities, the minority leader talks about the state of the state transport system and how government is not adding up to the numbers. In a recent interview with the Metro Mass Transit boss, he talks about the fact that some of these buses that have been disposed were done under the previous government. Minority leader, I want to ask if you can give us some details about some of these decisions to dispose of some of these buses. I also know that you initiated an electric bus project before you left government to purchase about 100 buses, 10 have been brought. The status of that, is it supposed to be continued by the recent government, and if you have any update on adding up to the numbers? Plus, if there is any solution you can prefer to government on this, thank you.
The minority leader will respond to these three questions before we take the next batch.
So let me deal with the first issue of post 31st January in Parliament. As you may be well aware, we've had a very civil engagement from Parliament. We, the 87, those colleagues who have been engaged in this discourse have done so with all civility. I want to assure you that these are internal matters. As for politics, things get heated. Soon after, we all rally behind the leader and the MPP flag to push the party agenda and to let Ghanaians know what we have for them. But you see, the NDC is busy talking about us. What they've also forgotten is that they also have a leadership contest awaiting them. And do also obi fieshe. Omo de nimpo de kankan kra. Sesi a obe hu no ase edun katia ose oko thank you to. Meanwhile no o campaigning. They are hu ni say Aisa aban e won your own preferred candidate. Jubilee House for so omo candidate. O obedi flag bearer amom na party no so one candidate nti enche bi ebedu omo so but the person can say MPP die nyame ya adomo after 31st yan ye wo parliament ya wi ata so say kwen bia so no ye de ba ko ye enka bom ebetai ne obewini n'echi na ye nyina ya boa e ma party na akone kan nti no NDC for mu dwe omo no mu di omo fi asem Yanshwe Krana, Ebia, by mid this year, Omampei Mahama, Eba, by Lim Dak president. Because Obia, pay to me, which Omumua, vice president, also Onusubedi president. And then I'm saying, Yeti say, Onu, Alpha Haruna, Idrisa, and running mate. Yeti Yani say, Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, Onoso Namnokwai, Onoso be president, Edi, Onoso, or say, the running mate, any fifi kwete, yati a majority leader, on also on the baby, on any ablakwa, almost your permutation. Yenya finance minister, on also almost say obedi president, on also a pen running mate. Inti adiano atasa obebia. Yenya Erikopoku, ono agric minister. One kasa wo ministry okra no. Sika ezezo omodi ma na wodi ye kwedwuma kro mo farmer. Wo so be di president. Ono openi Erikopoku ehu the difference between opposition and government. Our opposition ani kati brofo akase. And obedi minister. Sika odi be ye edwuma kra mpo no. Aya asema ma no. Ono so obedi president NDC for there no. Ebe huhu. Into omundi omufi asem. Na omunja ye de man. Back to quality of debate. Yes, I mean, ladies and gentlemen of the press, I don't think that there is any debate on this matter. Check the records. We have become formidable opposition because each one of us, in fact, if you look at the first timers on our side, it's so reassuring that MPP indeed has a future. I told somebody that in future, it may be very difficult to make some selections because all of them are competent. All of them are determined. All of them have what it takes to deliver. So as for that one, it comes without question. Now, on the issue of the foreign minister, my colleague, we in the minority, we don't attack personalities. Follow the consistency in my public discourse and that of my colleagues. We don't do personality attack, no. From the vetting to the House floor to all engagement, we raise issues. How can our foreign minister have an engagement with some ambassadors, write on social media, and the next day we hear of an embargo? How can you claim that Israel deported some Ghanaians and without engaging, you also go ahead to say retaliation? You know, when we were kids, right? There were times that when somebody is provoking you, then you say that, wouldn't say wunya penny wo hunti, and I will yes sir. So you are careful. If our foreign minister was that measured, you would have known that attacking Israel had consequences. I'll leave it here. A word to a wise is enough. So we don't have anything personal against anybody. In serious democracies, when a policy fails, the minister resigns. How can the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources come to Parliament and to defend an agreement, only to do U-turn to withdraw it for further consultation? Any serious democracy, you have to resign. So that call on him to resign is not born out of our dislike for him. Our call on Honorable Ablako to resign is not born out of any dislike or any ill will. There's a clear foreign policy failure. He's not walked the path of his predecessors, who took foreign policy to higher levels. Even recently in ECOWAS, Ghana has lost out on a lot of vacancies that arose at ECOWAS, all because we thought we were eyeing an AU chair for His Excellency the President next year. What of if the countries we are relying on resolve? Ghana is a regular contributor. In fact, we don't fail in our contributions to ECOWAS. Go for the records. We've lost out in employment in ECOWAS. Institutional heads, 0. Main employment, technical staff, the ECOWAS civil servant. Ghana contributes so much, but we are losing out. So what does the foreign minister do? On the Metromas issue, we are going to call on the Minister of Transport when Parliament resumes to answer questions regarding why they sat down for a whole year without putting in place measures to beef up the fleet levels. It again exposes the minister's lack of clear vision for the transport sector. But would bid our time, put together a paper by the appropriate committee of the caucus, and hold the minister's feet to the fire when Parliament resumes. So bear with us. We want to do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll take the next set of questions. Okay.
Our colleague, the sector head, is here, and he would want to expatiate a bit on this. So, please bear with him.
The ranking member on transport. After that, you ask your question.
Before you come, since he's the chairman of the
Is your question related to the same? And you won't ask any further questions?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, in the leader's presentation, I heard him accuse this government of failing to institute a properly functional state transport. But per recent report we read, during your administration...
Did he accuse them or that's the reality?
He blamed this government.
Yes, but is that a reality or is an accusation?
So
It's the reality.
a question, then you cannot answer. But we all know that the problem that we are facing today in terms of Ghanaians having easy access to public transportation has existed over the years during your 8-year administration. I in Accra take public transport, and I always go through tough time as sector getting access to public transport, and the unbearable first transport operators are charged. But you know that during your administration, there is a report that about 330 to 400 Metromax buses that were auctioned, sold as cheap, as low as 2,500, some of your cronies. Would you want to deny this report? Because if you fail to deny it, then we can also attribute the current challenge to some of your administration
Graphic, please, can you reframe your question? Why is one an accusation and one a report? You are saying that there is a report that was an auction on
accusation
Metro.
is that...
And then you said the other one is an accusation. So is that one too not an accusation? That's your last sentence.
No. Two issues here. The accusation is that, one, the minority leader is blaming this government of failing to institute a functional state transport. As a government which just, as a party which just exited power in 2024, we all saw that the very issue that you're accusing this government of were prevailing under your administration.
Okay, it's okay. Let him respond.
I think thank you very much. I think your question is clear. So let me respond to the earlier one with regard to the auctioning of Metromax buses. A lot of people don't know what goes into the processes before any bus is auctioned. Let me take my time to educate. Yes. No, in auctioning of the buses that you are talking about, before any bus is being auctioned, it has to be certified by the Board of Survey. It is not true that buses were sold at a peanut. No movable buses were sold to any cronies. It is a palpable lies which being thrown out because of the recent event that is happening under this government. They are trying to just equalize, make an equalization. So I just want to let you know that it is palpable lies. If they want any full inquiry into the matter, like the leader said, once we resume, the minority is going to call for that. And we will have a public inquiry for Ghanaians to know the truth behind. Let us face the fact. There are challenges. Ghanaians are suffering to have, commercial transportation to their works and to travel around, and that is the most difficult thing, the problem that we have at hand. And I expect every Ghanaian to be concerned about it, to find a solution to it. We on the minority side will continue to assist the government with whatever ideas that we need to. So that is what I want to say. On the electric buses, yes, the previous government ordered 100 buses. The idea was that we want to bring 10 to try it because that was the first time that we were adding EV buses to our fleet. So the idea was that after the 10, we'll bring back the 90. But we lost power. We were expecting this administration, this new government, to bring in the 90 buses, which already all arrangement had been done. They have decided not to bring the buses. It is up to Ghanaians to put fire on their feet and ask them why they have not brought those buses. So please, these are the facts on the ground, and I know most Ghanaians knows about it. So let us be factual about some of these matters so that we don't, in an attempt to make any equalization, we try to put out some falsehood, which at the end of the day, we will not be able to authenticate it. So that is what I want to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll take the new set of questions, the next set of questions.
Good morning. My name is Maurice from Manano Bloggers. My name is Maurice Amafa from Manano Bloggers. My question is that what steps is the minority taking to address the many hospitals and other key events initiated by the former government that has now been stalled?
Honorable Jerry, he's done. Next.
Thank you. My name is Adam Mesa. I work for Ghana News Agency. Minority Leader, as you said in your presentation, that the minority will resist any bill that will come under certificate of urgency. And I was wondering, because when the pandemic issue came up, even though the minority protested vehemently and even took the center stage of the chamber, but the majority was able to pass 8 estimates at that time. In spite of the chaos, in the midst of the chaos, they continued because they have the numbers. So, how serious can you take this issue? Because you could not even sustain the protest. It is only that day that you protested. The next day, you cooperated with them. How do you take this serious? Thank you.
This question, even before the minority leader came, I don't know how you are talking about resistance and then the protests on that time. We are talking about 2026, and you are talking about 2025. You are 1 year behind. So please, let's make progress.
Fine. GTV.
Thank you very much. My name is Valencia from GBC. I think my question is in line with what my senior colleague was talking about. So in his presentation, he made mention that the minority will not allow the majority to have its way this time. So we want to find out what way or what are some of the moves are going to do. Are you going to be working out the chamber like what we saw in the previous sitting, or what move are you going to do if the majority continues government business regardless of your objection?
My sister, if you listen to my sister, Honorable Jenny, if you listen to the minority leader very well, he said unless they beat us. So the walkout is not an option here. And you know, that's the leader. We are the whips. So come out with a strategy. But the last sitting, the certificate of agency were too many. And after that, you now see that they are coming back for amendments of the bills that they have just passed into laws because they rush it. They now realize that there are problems. They are coming with amendment. Even Gold Board, they will come with an amendment. Wait and see, because there are serious problems there. So that is why he is saying that we are ready to read. If they are not ready to read, we are ready to read and scrutinize every document. So rushing it, there are a lot of strategy as to how we can take it. And we understand it better than them.
But, Chief, I'm wondering who discusses this or strategy. We should come and tell you our strategy.
Our Bank of Ghana records indicate that during your tenure, especially between 2022 to 2024, there were significant losses under the Good for Reserves program. The Bank of Ghana governor admits to the losses and is looking forward to solutions. It's called for an all-stakeholder engagement to find the way forward. Are you ready to sit at the table with Gold Board, Bank of Ghana in finding a solution to the challenges in the sector? Thank you.
You want to take the question?
So, Professor, you want to know about the losses. You see, it would always be convenient for someone to engage in, blame game and say that, oh, something happened yesterday, so why must you question me if same thing is happening today? Granted, without admitting that indeed there were some losses in the previous years, didn't they come to say that they are resetting Ghana? And aren't they supposed to do things better than they came to meet it? So the fact that there were some mistakes, just for the sake of argument, means that I cannot question you if you're doing something wrong. I mean, I don't get the logic in there. But be that as it may, we have filed a motion, and that motion has been admitted. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to do the scrutiny, and the governor would have to explain the actions of the central bank. Although, like I said, we have also become aware that they had a joint board meeting where the charges that were already originally or previously around 15% have all been brought down. 9.7, let me get the correct figures. I don't want to. When we're dealing with numbers, we have to deal with numbers properly, so I don't want to. No, it's on the one paper. It's on the same. Yes, it's here. We have 9.75 for the bullion and 9.55 for unprocessed gold. Previously, it was 15%. So you see, the minority scrutiny has yielded some gains. If the government thought all was well, they wouldn't have met to review this. Okay? So it tells you that there was something going wrong somewhere. We are saying that in gold trading, there should be no losses. That excuse that there is always an economic cost isn't that here nor there. Say that to little children. If the economic cost of implementing a policy will be that astronomical, then you better look for another policy alternative. If in implementing a policy, you want to stabilize your city, the cost will be so high that it will deny you the opportunity to build schools, construct roads, build hospitals. Then you better look for another alternative. And that alternative readily comes to mind. Invest in agriculture and make more money. If you invest in agriculture, your city will be more stable than going into gold for reserves, spending so much to stabilize your city, and then denying yourself the needed revenue. That's all the point we're making.
Thank you, our able minority. So we'll take the last batch of questions. I think you've had your bite already.
advise him. Else I'll take him away.
I don't know why they keep that when it gets to me. Leader, the last time there was a voting on the floor when the first deputy speaker quoted or mentioned the case between Justice Abdullahi versus the Republic, where the Supreme Court gave judgment that presiding deputy speakers could vote. And that day, I told leader your numbers were really in minute. So where I was sitting, I thought there was some sort of conflict between yourself and your colleagues. That probably because NDC were able to marshal about 155 of their members. And we, sorry, I don't say we were. And you were, sorry, my bad, and the minority were only 25 in the house, but NDC were 155. So I was thinking that at that moment, Mr. Minority Leader, I was thinking that at that moment, I thought you should allow the voting when the speaker put in the vote, the question. But you insisted that, oh, I'm coming. You insisted that there should be a voting. And I saw some sort of nakedness on the part of minority. Because NDC were able. The question was, how united was the NPP front when it came to that particular issue? Thinking that since you don't have since the NPP didn't have the numbers, so you should allow, the voting, and you call for a vote. Oh please, head count, and the head count exposed the minority that at that moment the chief will put in a shout the numbers.
Thank you. Next.
I told you that I was still very decent about. Any other question, please? Please make sure you ask your question.
There is somebody.
Let's have some brevity and straight to the point, please.
Yeah, my name is Kwesi Coulson, editor of Point Africa. Leader, I think last year, when the government was able to reduce the dollar from its rate downwards, there was an issue that from the minority that because the government was not spending more, the government was not paying contractors. That's the reason why the dollar. So now that the government has been able to sustain that, I think going to give the government credit for that.
Please,
Okay,
final question.
the last one.
Yes. Let's take the final one. Please, which station are you from?
Some of these questions, please, let's be guided that there is a press conference, the minority leader did a presentation. So let's stick to what is in the text.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Boachi. I'm from Asifua Radio.
Hey. Hey. Original.
I want to know the minorities take on.
Is your station affiliated with CNN and BBC?
I want to know the minorities take on the current happening at Cocoa Board. It seems all our attention has been driven to Gold Board. So I want to know the minorities take on what's happening at Cocoa Board.
Very, very good question.
Okay, minority leader. Get it?
So, honorable members, lend me your ears. So we had a question from Ahmed the numbers. You know, what we would do in Parliament, we do it for history. And in the politics in the chamber, it's not always about winning. It's about the statement you make. So yes, you may be right. Anybody watching from afar, you ask, the minority, you are just few. These guys have overwhelming numbers. Why don't you let it go? It's the statement you want to make that matters. We doubted the 155. In fact, the whips checked. They were 129. They were struggling. And you realize that it is only when we begin to hold their feet to the fire that they start to mash out their numbers in. It's a fact. So it is not about us. It's about the impact we make on government business. So it's a strategy matter, which I want you to get it right. And it also goes into Hansen, what we said and what we did. The other issue regarding the cocoa sector, I think our ranking member is here. So I will let, he will take it up.
The dollar.
Yes, my good friend, Mr. Kumsin, right? Eja Kumsin. The press conference earlier, no Medicaika said, yenu anom no mo ba ban mu no. Omo hyedan ye bibi sonko bi a Ghana fo nya be hu se wei a omo aye e de dwuma ba. Enu nti no sidi no so ho atom. No kura wo mini se omo promote galamsey. Sisi a omo se obia into gold. Sa nine modie omo ye eniso ade just for the optics. Ba yen nim se omo bie mu amankola ne se omo into gold. And gold no omo tu no. Omo tu ni bia. And so it is not today but tomorrow. Because omo ton more gold. Inti no omo to me enya dollar ne mane ba. Na I say a massive new stabilizing. But me no yenim from 2025 budget ni 2026 budget say Kwe-Juma, agriculture, fisheries. Really, there is no seriousness in addressing that one. Then again, KBB said 2025, finance minister when tier contractors be breaker. In fact, a buying crampo and investing in the private sector and now say even public sector deliverables. The question will be saying, but see, no, I did not sustain it. Almost sustain it because they are interested in the numbers. So IMF almost you stabilize the economy. And your numbers in Yebedu. Sir, you don't know by almost your energy sector. A can the one country and say, whereas a Kufuadra buying a bon whom didn't try, no more the levy, but I say, goodwill no more one, or may take advantage. Electricity tariffs from time NDC buy a almost over 27%. Almost the can 14%. No more the 2 become now PURC is almost your consultation. Now, on my share, call minority, me lead the caucus. You call a catch on say, look, I dare more a strategy. I'm per se, more increase tariffs. No crap, a bemu. ECG almost say, oh, containers be higher, and MPP for the idea, and on my say, edu baby commodity me. A train minister, yeah, ranking wa. Omuko shia no obviously containers na enraye omehuni nyina omemo no asemu now yenya catch omo say through the paper ye de come omo no ye catch omo say ye started loss reduction program bi ewo ECG Say losses no, transmission losses, ne technical losses no, and no kauna e Canada ho. And then Crawford be switch electricity or Muntia bill. Companies, illegal connection at Dawson. Inti yama a system be embra, ebema Ghana, obia betu electricity bill. So we are sa ebebua, akufo ada ban start here. Mikodi board chair be sa busumi mienu no. At least me hu anamo ano omutu. Inti instead of pursuing reforms, instead of imposing higher tariffs, pursue reforms. They are not doing it. It's a major policy failure. So they are burdening you, pay more tariffs. So after 1 year, no matter a budget tariff. Then the worst part of it is that we introduce Dumso levy. Dumso levy is bringing more revenue than the e-levy now. Almost say, they are looking at over 4 billion, whereas the e-levy was giving us less than 2 billion. So you repeal the law, but introduce another tax that is burdening Ghanaians more. That is hypocrisy, that is double standard, that is matrical government. That's matrical government. Who was the e-levy here? On Tigana for me, person muche e-levy bill, we mama no tax. But who got top petrol there? 1 liter beer to 1 Ghana city. But how much must we say e-levy, momo no, taxi be a bar no, and yet, into move ye free, and then the MPP. Now, who are buying a buy, no dear? What did Dumso levy abase, who got top petrol, abobo ya, Pragia, Okada, Trotro, Obibi or better petrol biano, which 1 liter bian, which 1 cedi. Definitely, for 1 I are buying. What tricky Ghana for? Which I'm contempo because and no costing more. Chain say e-levy no. Into no crebianim. Monsampa.
All right, thank you. So our ranking on food and agriculture will respond to the BBC affiliate station question.
Thank you very much. We will be doing a separate press conference on cocoa, either sometime this week or early next week. So I'm extending invitation to all of you to attend that press conference. But to answer your question, we are worried about the happenings in Cocoa Board. We are very worried. You remember in the run-up to the 2024 December elections, leading members told cocoa farmers that if they voted for them, if they give them power, they will increase cocoa from 3,100 to 6,000 Ghana cedis. In fact, the Honorable Finance Minister even went further to promise them 7,000 Mengaji. Honorable Eric Obogu, Zambekaya, offer Kuafonina de Omoko, Gadia Swaba. A Kuafonina Panamanua, Ombermacua for 6,000 cedis per bag. And a Kuafono Busan said, Nia Woking, Ujidi, Osasia Banasi and Tumia Nya, Nakukono, Naya Windia. It is a Mutumaya, the back 6,000. What are we seeing today? What are we seeing today? And then a bag of cocoa, 3,625. I'm promise bonus sinyana. Wa obenya adaje na ka mede omo manifesto no biba. Promises akesia omo yeye. Every cocoa region you basic processing factory. Every cocoa region on basic cocoa college. Yes, that's what we have manifesto. We have 4 huge promises, and then we have 4 the amendment and thing. As for 3,625 from November, untu Akuafo ka. For the first time, Akuafo entime ni bronya. For the first time, Akuafo ni bronya. Na no kwani bi frame. Afi na me su. Also a talk go $100. Na yire yare. Ya ya prescription mano. Ontumi nto. Anya so oniska o. Wa talk go $100. Osimintua. Akuafo ni bi o ha omukọ obi a wo no say mikoko yi nga 3,625 obe ma me send huge discount na ne ade ma ne bia no waton and this our promise na mo de ma Akuafo omo ne Akuafo ni ne ye kura na se say de ne aye tetie de ebi kura nsida ne aye tetie no ebi nsida. Say your percent price no crown na yede ma won aye 3,625 no yes aba betiso na no de na na de ka no so omo tiso de a ene ko mbeku ye nyina ene Akuafo bebre omo e de force ye sre won enso omo koko no omo toma galamsefo. If somebody am with here, I ask some I rehopa and the Akansan. I rehopa and the Akansan. So, we were Brenham. Mamma Yakoko, no, some moon send you for a breath. Obeti Coco, Obe Boabuano, Obe Bo, Obe Bru. And some of the big guapas one noon, a binum swap, Quantin, and some of the Akobe dear Toko. And the cocoa pot, almost the LBC's over 10 billion. LBC's in almost the cocoa but take over centers now. Almost here. Nana do dan ko akufu ado. O de mayor press conference me just where ya.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, the leader would have the last one.
Yeah, our media colleagues, in this era of information fluidity, misinformation, and disinformation, it's important that when we speak to you and there's some ambiguity, we clarify ahead of time. When the minority says that it will resist every attempt by the majority to rush bills and government policies through parliament. What it means is that the minority will use all legitimate tools available within the standing orders of parliament and the constitution and all known laws that govern parliament. So I don't want us to leave here with anybody thinking that our statement to resist means lawlessness. No. So just that clarification is very important. Thank you very much.
All right. Our friends from the media, let me, on behalf of the mighty minority, thank you for making time to engage or be part of this media engagement, holding power to account, a year of active and responsible minority. And just a few announcements. From here, we'll move to the MP's cafeteria. There is what's the time now? 12:25. There is a brunch there, or lunch. It's lunch or brunch, whichever it is. Then we can be able to eat together or dine together and interact. If there are further clarifications, you can see my colleagues MPs from the mighty minority. One good thing about the minority is that anybody, you can ask them any question and they will be able to respond because they are very, very well composed and ready at all times. So we'll be taking a group photograph, the minority. We'll be taking a group photograph here. And after that, we'll go to the MP's cafeteria and have our lunch. So let me thank you so much. And then let's build a better relationship. The media, your friends in this democracy is the minority. Because we do almost the same thing together. We are your friends.
Please, you have to resume your seat. No, don't move yet. We need to have a word of prayer before we leave. Please, we take the photo, have a word of prayer before we depart. Thank you. Thank you very much, especially for those who carry life. We are extremely grateful. God bless all of you.
Charlie.